Hey guys, this is Fred. We have got into this Buford pusser stuff, not meaning to, mainly by accident. We've never, like I say in other videos, we've never been big Buford pusser fans or foes. We've just never, it's just not something that's, we thought he's a decent guy and a good sheriff and all that, but he's not somebody we've sought after. Until this prosecutor, Mark Davison, and the TBI followed this guy right here on the right in the blue shirt. That's Mr. Mike Elam, E-L-A-M. Mike Elam has been a person that's come up with all kinds of his own theories throughout the years. Him and another guy named Oakley Dean Baldwin. And they have come up with all kinds of scenarios, along with a Dennis Hathcock. Now, Hathcock, you may remember that name as Louise Hathcock, is the lady that Buford had to shoot at the Shamrock Hotel in 1966. Remember that date, 1966, because the year after, 1967, is when Buford and his wife, Pauline, were ambushed, and his wife was killed, and Buford was more or less left for dead. But over the years, Mr. Mike Elam here has really spread some rumors. He's really spread some stories, and that's what they are. They're rumors, they're stories, they're without fact, and it's sad. You can just see the animosity, the jealousy in some of the videos that he's made of Buford. I don't know what the problem is. He's not a Buford man. Now, the sad thing is that these stories that he's made up, a lot of them is just totally untrue. And over the next little while, I'm going to make some short videos. We're not going to put them on Sheila's channel probably. They'll probably go on Fred McCoy 40 as just extras, but I'll try to play short clips and point out some of the things that Mr. Elam says that's just totally incorrect. And Mr. Elam says he's prior law enforcement, and if you've watched any of our parts 1 through 7 of our Buford Pusser videos on Sheila's page, Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures, you'll see where he says he was prior law enforcement, and we've called the sheriff's department he supposedly worked at. We've called the newspaper editors in that area. Nobody knows Mike Elam, and we've asked for proof. We've asked for somewhere that he can send us or somebody can send us to confirm that he was law enforcement. The only thing we can find out that he was loss prevention officer for Walmart. But he talks as is he's prior law enforcement. Now, you'll hear him and Mr. Baldwin both. You're going to hear, I don't know if this is the video or not, but in one video, Mr. Elam says that they gave Buford a breathalyzer after he wrecked his Corvette in 1974 and he was dead. You can't give a man a breathalyzer when he's not breathing. Mr. Baldwin also says, makes a statement that the coroner ordered a blood test on Buford after he smelled alcohol on his breath when he was killed in that car wreck. Well, if he was breathing, they should have took him to the hospital because he don't need an autopsy. He needed to be in a hospital room. Can't smell alcohol on a dead man's breath. That dead man has no breath. So I'm going to play this video like I'm going to do a bunch more after a while, and then as we go through them, I'll stop and give my 2 cents for whatever it might be worth. I am a 40-year career police officer that can prove my years in service, and let's just see how it goes from there.
Paul Irvin would tell me that, they had a breathalyzer done. A McNairy County deputy confirmed that, said he was there when Dr. Peeler drew the blood, and that he came back as
a breathalyzer is where you breathe into an intoxilizer or some kind of a breathalyzer machine to analyze us for alcohol. That's a breathalyzer. What the coroner ended up taking was a blood alcohol. He ended up taking a blood test and got the alcohol percentage off of the blood, which is more than likely not more than likely, it is what you do for a dead person. Now remember, he's talking about this state trooper, Paul Irvin. Remember that name.
0.18, but yet for some reason they kept having Trooper Irvin, rewrite his report and telling him it, wasn't right yet, and he kept changing it. And I think he said he changed it 6 times after the writing it out initially, and he couldn't figure out what he was putting in there that was wrong, that finally decided he'd take that 0.18 BAC out of the report, and then they accepted it. So I guess you can only assume that they didn't want people to know that Buford actually died as a drunk driver.
Let's start with this first of all. As a police officer, you never redo an accident report. You may add a supplemental to an accident report. You never redo a report in case the first one or the second one or third. He said he made 6 reports here. I have a hard time believing that, but maybe if Mr. Paul Irvin, the state trooper and former McNairy County Sheriff, is still alive, maybe he can enlighten us. He said he'd done 6 reports. The reason you don't do but one accident report is if you do a second one and then somebody's already got a hold of the first one and it goes to court, how are you going to tell which one is the truth, which one's the correct one? So you never do but one accident report. You can add supplements to it, supplementals, and make your corrections. He says that he turned this report in 6 times, 6 different times, and 6 different times it was rejected by his supervisors. I've also heard this on other channels of his. And they kept sending it back until finally Trooper Irvin marked out the 0.18. That Buford Pusser's blood alcohol was a 0.18, supposedly from a blood test. There's no record to that. There's no record in the citation. There's no record in the accident report that we've ever seen. But Mr. Elam says that. He says that Trooper Paul Irvin told him that. This state trooper told him that his heavies, the supervisors, wouldn't accept the report because he had in there the blood alcohol of Buford Pusser. Now, this man right here you're looking at in the blue, he's always going after Buford Pusser. He says Buford Pusser was not honest. He says he walked on both sides of the law. He says he did this, he did that, with absolutely no proof. Nothing more than speaking it into history. He has no documentation. He has no video proof. He has no audio proof that he was ever on the payoff or took a payoff. Buford Pusser was nothing but straight from what everybody can tell, or at least there's no evidence that he ever did anything wrong. However, Mr. Elam is sitting here in this video and several others, and he says that Trooper Paul Irvin, who went on to become the McNairy County Sheriff later on, he says that Paul Irvin told him he had to take that 1.8 out of his accident report before they would accept it. Now, if you had Buford Pusser and Paul Irvin beside of each other, who would you think was corrupt? Who would you think was the one that's not honest, that has no integrity, has no character? If what Mr. Elam is saying is true. Now, we got to go back to the source here. Mr. Elam is the source. He talks about Buford. He degrades Buford. He dishonors Buford. He slanders Buford and libels himself over statements that he's made over Buford Pusser. Now he makes this statement about Tennessee State Trooper Paul Irvin, who ultimately become McNairy County Sheriff. Now, there's 2 things here. Either McNairy County Sheriff and former State Trooper Paul Irvin is corrupt and changed an accident report when it said alcohol was involved and he changed it to not, for whatever reason, it's not right. I don't care who it is. You call it like you see it in law enforcement. You don't play politics, and that's what Buford didn't do, we think. But, so either this state trooper is corrupt by changing his accident report, or Mr. Elam here is not telling the truth, and therefore not only slanders Buford Pusser, but now he's slandering Trooper Paul Irvin, if what he is saying is not true. We don't know either way. We don't know if a lot of the people, not a lot, most all of the people that Mike Elam and Mr. Baldwin talks about are deceased. Every story they tell, every rumor they have heard, everything that goes on is mostly by somebody who is now deceased. They didn't get a written statement notarized or confirmed or sworn to. They don't have a audio or videotape. It's just their word. They were told this or that, and now they're repeating it, and nobody is there, somewhat like Buford Pusser is right now. He's in the grave and can't defend himself when people tells these stories. Are they stories? Are they rumors? Are they truth? Well, they wasn't truth back then while he was alive, and then after his last daughter, his last child, all three of their children are dead now. His daughter, Dewana, died in 2018 by mysterious causes. By mysterious causes. Some people says it was S-side. Some people says it's very mysterious. We don't know. In 58 years, is somebody going to come up here and say that somebody had something to do with her death just so they could go to another relative to dig Pauline up to make a story there? You know, it could happen. What's happening to Buford could also happen to other people later on in life. That's just this short video. Hopefully, I don't know how long it is, 12 minutes, but that's my take on this. You heard him with his own words. He's saying that this state trooper changed his report so Buford wouldn't be known as dying as a drunk driver. Now, from everything that we can find out from talking to people at the museum, people in Adamsville, since then, Sheila and I have been to Adamsville, and we've talked to several people. What we can find out, Buford Pusser and Trooper Paul Irvin didn't get along. They didn't like each other. So is there any love lost? Would Trooper Irvin really have had a problem had there been a 0.18 alcohol BAC in Buford? Would he have really had a problem putting that in his report and him not liking Buford anyway? Would he have really have allowed people to persuade him to take that out of his report? Or is Mr. Irvin still alive? If Mr. Irvin's not alive anymore, then I would really doubt what Mr. Elam is saying is true. But if he is alive and he doesn't dispute these stories that Mike Elam is going around telling about him, then that proves that he was a corrupt state trooper, in my opinion. In my opinion, if you don't do everything by the law, you're corrupt. Even one dishonest thing that a police officer does, you're corrupt. 1 or 500, it doesn't matter. If we're going to correct everybody else, if we're going to police the other people in the community, we've got to be better than those people. We're held to a higher standard. Guys, this man right here, it's not just this story. This story here may very well be true. Maybe Trooper Irvin was a bad trooper, bad law enforcement officer. If he was bad, if he would do something like this, then I guarantee you when he became sheriff, he didn't get no better, because the sheriff, it polices himself. He's as high as it goes in a county law enforcement. But this man right here, if you watch his videos, be very leery of what he says. Be very leery of how he comments or the stories he says he tells or the rumors. These are rumors because they're coming from him. A lot of these stories and rumors, him and Mr. Baldwin make up in their own mind, and there's nobody else out there to dispute them. It's my opinion. Thanks, guys. Catch you on the next one.